You know what's funny? The moment your entire world flips upside down never announces itself with trumpets or warning signs. It just happens. Like a trapdoor opening under your feet while you're mid-celebration. Mine opened the day I bought my house. Not just any house. My house. The little 2-bedroom brick colonial on Maple Ridge Drive that I'd been stalking on Zillow for 6 months. The one with the bay window in the kitchen and the fireplace that actually worked. The one I'd saved 4 years for, working double shifts at the hospital until my feet screamed and my back felt like it belonged to someone twice my age. I was a surgical nurse. Had been since I graduated from nursing school at 22. Now, at 28, I finally had something to show for all those 80-hour weeks, all those missed birthdays and cancelled plans. I had mine. The closing was on a Tuesday morning. I remember because Tuesdays were usually my short days, but I'd taken the whole day off. Signed every paper with this stupid grin on my face while my realtor, Patricia, kept saying, "Congratulations, honey. You did it." I had done it. All by myself. No help. No loans from family. Just me, my paychecks, and a dream that felt impossible until the keys were suddenly, miraculously, in my hand. I took a selfie on the front porch, keys dangling, smile wide, and posted it with the caption, "New chapter starts now. House with flower." My phone lit up within seconds. But not with congratulations. The first call came from Mom. Then Dad. Then my younger sister Hannah. All within 5 minutes of each other, like they'd been waiting, watching. I answered Mom's third call while still sitting in my car outside the house. Engine off, windows down, just breathing in that feeling of finally. Amelia. Her voice was sharp. Tight. The way it got when she was about to lecture me about something I'd supposedly done wrong. "Hey, Mom. Did you see my... We need to talk. Right now." The celebration feeling started to curdle in my stomach. "Okay, what's wrong?" "What's wrong?" She actually laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Amelia, the house you just bought, that was supposed to go to Hannah." I blinked. Stared at the brick facade through my windshield. The porch. The mailbox with the little red flag. "I'm sorry. What?" "You heard me. That house, your house, was meant for your sister. We've been planning this for years. How could you not know that?" My brain felt like it was buffering. "Mom, I found this house myself. I worked with my own realtor. I paid for it with my money. How could it possibly be?" "Don't play dumb, Amelia." Dad's voice cut in. He must have been on speaker. "You knew we were setting something aside for Hannah. She needs stability. She's been struggling. You already have your independence. You didn't need to take this from her." Take? Take? I felt heat rising in my chest, the kind that makes your hands shake. I didn't take anything from anyone. I bought a house. With money I earned. I don't understand what. "We'll handle this legally," Dad interrupted, his tone final. Cold. "You should have known better." Then the line went dead. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, wondering if I'd just hallucinated the entire conversation. But the next morning, when I opened my mailbox and found the envelope, thick, official, with a law firm's return address, I knew it was real. They were suing me. My own parents. Taking me to court. And the reason printed under cause of action? An authorized purchase of property intended for sibling Hannah Monroe. That's when I realized, this wasn't about a house. This was about control. And I was done being controlled. The first person I called was my best friend since college, Natalie. She worked as a paralegal downtown and had seen enough family drama to fill a courthouse. "Wait, wait, wait," she said, and I could hear her pacing. "Your parents are suing you because you bought a house? A house you paid for?" Apparently it was meant for Hannah. I was sitting on my new living room floor, surrounded by unopened moving boxes, feeling like I was in some alternate reality. Meant for her how? Was her name on it? Did she put down a deposit? No. Nothing. I don't even think she knew about this house until I posted the photo. Natalie was quiet for a second. "Amelia, this is insane. Like, actually insane. They don't have a case. Then why are they doing it? Because they're counting on you folding. They think you'll just hand it over to keep the peace. She was right. That's exactly what they thought. Because that's what I'd always done. When Hannah wanted my room when we were kids because it had better light, I switched. When she needed money for her art projects that never went anywhere, I lent it, never got it back. When she dropped out of college for the third time and Mom suggested I help cover her rent just until she gets back on her feet, I did it. Hannah was 25 now. Still lived at home. Still had never held a job for longer than 4 months. And somehow, that made her the one who needed protecting, and me the one who needed to sacrifice. But a house? My house? That's where I drew the line. 2 days later, I met with a lawyer. Her name was Geneva Watts, and she had a reputation for not tolerating nonsense. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with silver streaks in her black hair and a handshake that could crack walnuts. She read through the lawsuit, flipping pages slowly, her expression darkening with every line. Finally, she looked up. This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen in 6 months. And I had a case last week where a man tried to sue his neighbor for stealing his wind. Despite everything, I almost laughed. So, they don't have a case. They don't have a molecule of a case. There's no contract. No agreement. No documentation. This is pure entitlement wrapped in legal paper. Relief rushed through me. So it'll just get dismissed. Geneva leaned back in her chair, tapping her pen against the desk. Probably. But here's the thing, Amelia. They filed this publicly. That means they're serious. Or they're trying to scare you into settling. Either way, we need to be ready. Ready for what? For them to fight dirty. She wasn't wrong. That night, I got a call from my Aunt Lorraine, Dad's older sister. She'd always been the calm one in the family, the mediator, the person who smoothed over arguments at Thanksgiving. Amelia, sweetheart, she said gently, I heard about the lawsuit. Yeah, it's been a nightmare. I'm sure. And I want you to know. I think you're in the right. I almost cried just hearing someone say that. But, she continued, I also think you should consider what this is doing to the family. Your mother is devastated. Your father feels disrespected. Hannah's been crying for days. There it was. The guilt trip. Aunt Lorraine, I didn't do anything. I bought a house. That's it. I know, honey. But maybe you could just talk to them? Work something out? Before this gets uglier. Work what out? They want me to give them my house. Well, maybe not the whole house. Maybe you could co-own it with Hannah? Or let her stay there while you... I hung up. I didn't mean to be rude. But I couldn't listen to one more person tell me to shrink myself to make everyone else comfortable. That night, lying in my new bedroom, staring at the ceiling, I made a decision. If they wanted a fight, I'd give them one. But I wouldn't fight with guilt or apologies. I'd fight with the truth. And the truth was about to get very, very uncomfortable for them. The more I dug, the worse it got. I started going through old family photos, texts, emails, anything that might explain where this bizarre family plan had come from. And that's when I found it. A group text from 3 years ago. One I hadn't been included in. It was between Mom, Dad, and Hannah. Dad, we'll make sure you're taken care of, sweetheart. When the time comes, you'll get what you need. Hannah, but what about Amelia? Won't she be mad? Mom, Amelia will understand. She always does. I read it 5 times, my chest tightening with every pass. They'd been planning this. Not for the house specifically, but for something. Some kind of safety net for Hannah that I was just supposed to accept. To step aside for. Because Amelia always understands. I forwarded it to Geneva immediately. Her response came in under a minute. This is gold. Keep looking. So I did. I found Venmo requests from Hannah to Mom, thousands of dollars over the years, all labeled things like emergency, just this once, I'll pay you back. She never did. I found an email from Dad to a financial advisor, asking about setting up a trust fund for Hannah, using money from the sale of my grandparents' old property. Property that, according to the will, was supposed to be split equally between me and Hannah. But I'd never seen a dime. When I called the estate lawyer who'd handled Grandma and Grandpa's will, he confirmed it. The property had sold for $340,000. Hannah had received her half. I'd received nothing. Your father said you'd waived your portion, the lawyer said carefully. We have a signed document. I never signed anything. Silence on the other end. Mr. Callahan, I said slowly. I need a copy of that document. I'll send it over today. When it arrived, I stared at the signature at the bottom. It looked like mine, but it wasn't. The loops were wrong. The slant was off. Someone had forged my signature. And I had a pretty good idea who. I called Geneva again. Told her everything. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, Amelia, this isn't just about a house anymore. This is fraud. Potentially criminal. My stomach dropped. What do I do? We document everything. And we prepare to go nuclear if we have to. I didn't want to go nuclear. I didn't want to destroy my family. But they'd made their choice when they decided I was worth less than their golden child. Now I had to make mine. And I was choosing me. I should have known Hannah wouldn't stay quiet. 3 days after I started gathering evidence, she posted on social media. Not a subtle post, either. A full-blown public accusation. When your own sister steals the future your parents built for you. Broken heart, I can't believe the betrayal. Family is supposed to protect each other, not destroy each other. Feeling broken. Within an hour, my phone was flooded. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me. How could you do this to Hannah? She's been through so much. You should be ashamed. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? That none of it was true? That I'd been set up? They wouldn't believe me. They never did. Hannah had always been the fragile one, the sensitive one, the one everyone rallied around. I was the strong one, the capable one, the one who didn't need help. Except I did need help. I just never got it. Natalie called me that night, furious. Have you seen what people are saying? Yeah. Amelia, you need to defend yourself. You can't just let her trash you like this. What's the point? No one's going to believe me anyway. Then make them believe you. Post the truth. Show them the evidence. But I couldn't. Not yet. Because if I went public with what I'd found, the forged signature, the stolen inheritance, it wouldn't just hurt Hannah. It would implode the entire family. And despite everything, I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. But Hannah wasn't done. 2 days later, I came home from a 12-hour shift at the hospital to find my front door ajar. My heart stopped. I pushed it open slowly, half expecting to find the place ransacked. But nothing was out of place. Nothing was missing. Except someone had definitely been inside. I checked the security camera footage I'd installed after closing. And there she was. Hannah. Walking through my house like she owned it. Opening closets. Measuring walls with a tape measure. Taking photos. At one point, she even sat on my couch, scrolling through her phone, completely at ease. I watched the footage 3 times, my hands shaking with rage. Then I called the police. The officer who came to take the report was polite but skeptical. So, your sister came into your house without permission? Yes. Do you have proof she didn't have a key? She's never had a key. I just moved in 2 weeks ago. He wrote something down. Has she threatened you? Not directly. But my family is suing me over this house. She thinks it belongs to her. He looked up, eyebrows raised. That's unusual. Tell me about it. He finished the report and handed me a copy. We'll follow up. In the meantime, I'd suggest changing your locks. I did. That night. But the next morning, I got a text from Hannah. Why did you call the cops on me? I was just checking out MY house. Dad says the court will fix everything soon. You're only making this harder on yourself. I stared at the message, my blood boiling. She actually believed it. She genuinely thought the house was hers. That's when I realized, this wasn't just entitlement. This was delusion. And I needed to end it. Now. The hearing was set for a Thursday morning in late September. I barely slept the night before, running through every possible scenario in my head. Geneva had prepared me, told me to stay calm, to let her do the talking, to trust the process. But when I walked into that courtroom and saw my parents sitting at the plaintiff's table, Mom in her church dress, Dad in his best suit, Hannah between them looking like a victim in some Hallmark movie, my stomach twisted. They looked confident, like they'd already won. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw set. Hannah gave me a little wave, like this was a family reunion and not a legal battle over my future. I sat down next to Geneva, my hands clenched in my lap. The judge entered, a woman in her 60s with grey hair pulled back in a bun and an expression that said she'd seen every kind of nonsense humanity had to offer. "Let's get started," she said, looking over her glasses at the room. "This is Monroe versus Monroe. I've reviewed the initial filings, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure why we are here. But I'm listening. Counsel for the plaintiffs, proceed." Their lawyer stood. His name was Roger Pemberton, and he had that slick, overly confident air of someone who thought he could talk his way out of anything. "Your Honor, this case is about family. About trust. About a young woman," he gestured to Hannah, who was promised security by her parents, only to have it taken away by her own sister. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. He went on. Talked about implied agreements. About family expectations. About how I'd known Hannah was struggling, and had deliberately undermined the family's plan to help her. Not once did he mention a contract, or documentation, or any actual legal basis for the claim. When he finally sat down, the judge looked unimpressed. "Ms. Watts." Geneva stood, smooth and unbothered. "Your Honor, the plaintiff's case is based entirely on emotion. There is no written agreement, no contract, no legal claim to the property in question. My client purchased this home with her own funds, through her own realtor, with no knowledge of any alleged family plan. This lawsuit is frivolous at best and harassing at worst." She paused, letting that sink in. "However, we do have testimony that may clarify the real motivations behind this suit." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Proceed." Geneva nodded to the bailiff, who opened the courtroom door. And in walked my Aunt Claire, Dad's younger sister. Mom's face went white. Dad's jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might crack. Aunt Claire took the stand, was sworn in, and sat down calmly. Geneva approached. "Ms. Claire Monroe, how are you related to the parties in this case?" "I'm Malcolm Monroe's sister, Amelia and Hannah's aunt." "And are you familiar with the so-called family plan the plaintiffs have referenced?" Claire looked directly at my father. "There was no plan. Not officially. But there was pressure. Years of it." "Can you elaborate?" Claire took a breath. "My brother Malcolm made promises to Hannah that he couldn't keep. Our parents, Amelia and Hannah's grandparents, owned a property in Cedarville. When they passed, the will specified that the proceeds from the sale would be split equally between Amelia and Hannah. Malcolm tried to convince our parents to change the will, to give Hannah more. They refused." The courtroom was dead silent. "After they died," Claire continued, "Malcolm handled the estate. He told Amelia she'd waived her portion. She hadn't. He forged her signature and gave Hannah the full amount." Gasps rippled through the room. The judge leaned forward. "Did you witness this?" "I saw the document. I confronted my brother. He said Amelia didn't need it. That she was doing fine." My chest felt tight. I'd suspected. But hearing it confirmed, out loud, in front of everyone, was like being punched in the gut. Geneva let the moment breathe. Then, "So to be clear, the plaintiffs have a history of prioritizing Hannah's needs over Amelia's, even to the point of committing fraud." Objection. Pemberton shot up. Relevance. The judge waved him down. Overruled. "This goes to motive. Continue, Ms. Watts." Geneva smiled. "No further questions." The judge turned to Pemberton. "Your witness." He stood, flustered. "Ms. Monroe, isn't it possible you're mistaken? That Amelia did waive her portion and simply forgot?" Claire looked at him like he just suggested the earth was flat. I'm not mistaken. And neither is Amelia. Pemberton sat down. The judge looked at my father. Mr. Monroe, do you have anything to say? Dad stood slowly. Your Honor, I did what I thought was best for my family. That's not an answer. I may have made mistakes, but my intentions were good. The judge's expression hardened. Good intentions don't justify fraud, Mr. Monroe. She turned to me. Ms. Amelia Monroe, do you have anything you'd like to add? I stood, my legs shaking. Your Honor, I've spent my whole life being told that Hannah comes first, that she needs more, that I'm strong enough to handle less. And I believed it. I let myself be pushed aside because I thought that's what family meant. But this house? This one thing I built with my own hands? That's where it stops. If they want to take me to court over something they never owned, then they're not family. Not anymore. My voice cracked on the last word. Mom was crying. Dad stared at the table. Hannah looked like she'd been slapped. The judge nodded slowly. Thank you, Ms. Monroe. She shuffled her papers. I'm dismissing this case. There is no legal basis for the plaintiff's claim. Furthermore, I'm ordering the plaintiffs to pay Ms. Amelia Monroe's legal fees. If there are any further attempts to harass or intimidate her regarding this property, I will consider sanctions. She banged her gavel. We are adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom in a daze. Geneva squeezed my shoulder. You did good, kid. I don't feel good. You will. Behind me, I heard my mother calling my name. Amelia. Amelia, wait. I kept walking. Amelia, please. We need to talk about this. I stopped. Turned around. Mom's face was streaked with tears. Dad stood behind her, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Hannah was texting, not even paying attention. Talk about what? I asked. How you forged my signature. How you stole my inheritance. How you raised me to believe I was worth less than her. Mom flinched. That's not. We never meant. Yes, you did. My voice was steady now. Calm. You meant every bit of it. And you'd do it again if you thought you could get away with it. Amelia, you're our daughter, Dad said quietly. We love you. No. You love the version of me that does what you want. The version that doesn't ask questions. That doesn't fight back. I looked at all three of them. But that's not who I am anymore. I turned and walked away. This time, they didn't follow. 6 months later, I was sitting on my front porch with Natalie, drinking iced tea and watching the sun set over Maple Ridge Drive. Have you heard from them? She asked. Mom texts sometimes. Apologies. Mostly. Dad sent a letter. I haven't opened it. And Hannah? I snorted. She blocked me on everything after the court case. Last I heard, she moved to Portland. Mom's supporting her, obviously. Natalie shook her head. Unbelievable. It's fine. I'm done trying to fix it. And I was. The house was mine. The life I was building was mine. And for the first time in 28 years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, waiting for someone to tell me I didn't deserve it. A week later, Aunt Claire stopped by. I wanted to see how you're doing, she said, handing me a casserole dish. And to apologize. For what? For not speaking up sooner. I knew what Malcolm was doing. I should have said something years ago. I took the dish. You said something when it mattered. She smiled. You remind me of your grandmother. She didn't take crap from anyone either. After she left, I sat in my living room, and let myself feel it. The weight of being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who always gave in, it was gone. And in its place? Freedom. Nothing in my family stayed the same after that courthouse. But I did. I stayed me. And that was enough.